Earlier today, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a press conference describing recent talks in Israel. For those of you who don't know, Blinken works for the Biden administration as the chief foreign affairs advisor. He has made many trips to Israel and other nations in the Middle East since last fall's October attacks by Hamas. Blinken and the Biden administration have worked with neighboring countries such as Egypt and Qatar to help draft peace proposals and ceasefire agreements for the warring parties. Up until now, this process has been halted by both sides disagreeing with proposals and specifics of what a future peace might bring. This decisive conflict has become a major talking point for American politicians as we close in on the November election. And finding a path for peace if the fighting continues will be a top priority for either new administration in their first months in office. While all the details are not entirely known, Blinken explained in his press conference that after a more than 2-hour meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Israeli leader agreed to, as PBS put it, a proposal to bridge differences holding up a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza. So now both Blinken and Netanyahu have called upon Hamas to agree to this proposal as well. We do not know the full details about what may be included in initial talks if they were to continue, but Blinken did make clear that a hostage release would have to be part of any agreement. On Hamas's end, they are likely to not agree to any deals that do not remove Israeli forces from the region. Proposals for an end to this fighting have consistently been held up by both parties because of these two issues. If Israel is willing to publicly discuss a path to peace, that is an indication that they may be opening up to the idea of removing forces from Gaza. Blinken, who is still in the Middle East, is expected to head to Egypt tomorrow, August 20th, potentially working on more peace proposals. If this trip continues, these talks could be more proactive with Israel's support and could help draft much more appealing terms for both sides. Of course, nothing can happen without Hamas working on their end to find mutual terms to end this fighting. With Israeli troops being present in much of the Gaza Strip, now months into war, we can only hope that Hamas is thinking along the lines of peace and not fighting to the bitter end. On the other side of things, the United States will also be looking for Israel to work with the nations helping to draft peace proposals, and not using this as an opportunity to push for gains that would never be agreed upon, thereby hijacking the peace talks. At this point in a very tense election cycle, with a convention this week and presidential debates coming soon, positive news from the conflict in Gaza would be a major victory for the Democratic ticket, arguing support and showing success of their foreign policy agenda. Now, at this point in time, we cannot be celebrating peace just yet, as it will all depend on how Hamas reacts in the next few days. Some form of ceasefire could come quite early, if only for a brief time, potentially allowing for hostages to be exchanged and released. A lasting peace will take a lot more work, but anything could happen if both parties are willing to compromise and work together, albeit with the help of other nations. For months now, the world has been watching for any sign of end to this violence. And while peace has not yet been achieved, having even just one party seriously consider it is incredible news, not only for the success of international peace talks, but more importantly for the people suffering in the war zone. As always, the Issue Addict is here to keep you up to date with breaking news stories, so please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to help keep this channel growing.